If you feel disconnected from yourself, I want to be very clear about something before we go any further. You didn't lose yourself. You didn't forget who you are, and nothing went wrong. You have been stuck in survival mode for too long, and it has outlived its purpose. Most women think that identity loss means that something broke, but the truth is actually a lot quieter than that. The version of you who was created to survive, she did her job. She kept you alive. Thank God. But she has finished the job she was created for. And now she doesn't really know what to do with the space that's been left behind. So today, we're not fixing you. We're going to name what ended so you can stop mistaking completion for failure. So let's start at the beginning. Survival is not panic. Yes, sometimes you panic in survival, but survival itself, that mode, is not panic. It is adaptation. It is the part of you that learned to stay alive in situations that required you to be careful. Situations that required you to edit every single thing you say before you spoke. Situations that required you to always be monitoring the emotional temperature in the room. Situations that required you to be useful, to stay safe, to manage other people's reactions, and then to endure it quietly, because that is what felt like your job. So I want to say this very clearly. You did not lose yourself. You became very good at surviving. And survival always costs identity, because survival requires containment. Every single one of those things that we just walked through, managing yourself, managing others' emotions, tempering your reactions, setting yourself aside, that all requires containment, and identity requires expression. And containment works until it doesn't. When survival ends, so when that situation, whatever that situation was that required your survivor to be developed, when that ends, most women feel like they're going to have relief. But instead, oftentimes they just feel disoriented. And here's why. Because survival gives you structure, roles, rules, feedback. And when those all dissolve, you are left with silence. And a lot of women assume that silence means emptiness because your body is used to chaos, and as soon as it feels the lack thereof, don't know what to do. Silence just means the noise stopped. The chaos has quieted. So you didn't lose your identity. You lost the role that was telling you who you had to be. The one who keeps things peaceful. The one who doesn't ask for much. The one who absorbs the impact so that the others don't have to. And the one who holds it all together. Who keeps stuff from falling apart. These roles were never you. They were strategies. When those strategies expire, they leave a vacuum. But that vacuum isn't a problem, it's a threshold. So let's step over it. Most women don't understand that they are still running in survival mode because to them it feels normal. It is what you have conditioned yourself to. It's what you've been living in for so long that normal doesn't feel normal anymore. Survival does. Some of the common survival identities are these. The regulator. She keeps emotions stable. She avoids disruption. She manages tone. The buffer. She absorbs the stress so that the others don't have to. The peacemaker. Chooses harmony or the potential thereof, because it usually doesn't actually show up, over truth. The competent one. Never needs help, never collapses, except internally. And the responsible one, who carries all of the consequences alone. These are not personality traits. They are survival roles. And these roles that once protected you will eventually exhaust you. But exhaustion in this case is not failure. It's actually never failure, but exhaustion is not failure. Exhaustion is information. That is a flag saying, hey, I think it's time to move. Once you have that flag, once you know that your time in survival has come to an end, has come to a close, what now? You feel like you need to rebuild. And rebuilding doesn't come just from vision, it comes from excavation. And excavation means identifying the roles that are no longer needed, the places that you are no longer in, or you shouldn't be in anymore. Sometimes this is a flag that you need to move. I'm going to help you do that. So the first thing to do to get out of this mode is to do a role audit. This sounds a little bit funny, but I promise it's pretty simple actually. Write down every role that you default to, not the titles, the functions. So the examples might be the emotional regulator, the planner, the fixer, the buffer, the interpreter. Then ask yourself, which of these roles am I still performing even though the threat is gone? This is assuming that the threat is gone. So the first step to this whole thing is to evaluate your situation. Where am I? What threats actually exist still? Do I still need to be in survival mode? Am I actually out of this phase? And then you can do the role audit. Step 2 in the role audit is to look at your list. And for each one, ask one question. What does this cost me now? Not emotionally, energetically. And if the cost for holding that role is higher than the benefit that it gives you or the protection that it offers, then that role is expired. It's not doing its job. Why are you still trying to do it? And the third thing is that we don't replace roles with goals. It doesn't work. You need to replace your roles with permission. Permission to pause. Permission to disappoint them. Permission to not explain. And permission to choose slowly. That permission list could go on and on and on, and it really depends on what roles you have on your list. This is how the safety of your situation now begins to finally move inside. When your internal self can start accepting that you are no longer in the situation where you need to be in survival mode. You didn't lose yourself. Your self did exactly what she was designed to do. She survived. She built a plan and a strategy to get you through whatever you were walking through. And if that phase has come to a close, then it is time to set survival mode aside. And that is hard to do unless you follow these steps, unless you can name it, unless you can show your body that you are now in safety. It is going to be very hard to get out of autopilot and operate outside of survival mode. But I want you to know that you didn't lose yourself. You just completed surviving. That's huge. What comes next is not reinvention. It is excavation, and it is reclaiming, and it is leadership of yourself. And leadership always has to start with internal safety, because you will continue to divert to survival mode if you do not feel safe. If this named something that you have been living in, but maybe haven't been able to articulate, I want to invite you to subscribe. This whole series is about the reasons why women get stuck in roles and can't move forward, and what those roles or situations are, and how to reclaim your life and your autonomy. If you want help mapping what it takes to rebuild and reclaim, then follow along. And I'll have some freebies in the description below too that will help you with this journey. This is not motivation, it is structure, and it works, and you've got this.